Welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to talk about the Oracle Fusion Receivables tutorials. What is our agenda in this video will be. I will talk about this process area for how to create memo line, how to create transaction types, how to create AR transactions, transaction adjustments, how to manage inquiries, how to create receivables credit memo, update installment, and update receivable invoice, process billing, and update recurring billing, review customer account, and manage customers. For each one of these, there is one rule. To set up anything in Oracle Cloud, there is one job rule, application implementation consultant rule. It must be assigned to your user to set up, for example, in receivables, transaction type, memo line, customers, all of these things. But to enter transactions and receipts, there is two job rules like Oracle Receivables Manager and Accountant Receivable Specialist. So let's get into the application and try and do each of these processes in application. Once you log into the Oracle, now what's the process in general to make any transactions? You have to create customer, assign it to the business unit, then you can start to enter the transactions. Before the transactions, if you are going to enter the memo lines, you have to create memo lines, and with the memo lines also you have to create the transaction type. All of these things after you implement the system options of receivables. And I already did one video before for how to set up the system options of Oracle Cloud Receivables. So let's start now to create a customer, then try to create a memo line, or to take overview how to create a memo line, and how to create the transaction type. Once you log into the Oracle, you can navigate to the tools, My Enterprise, Setup and Maintenance. Select Financials, go to down for Receivables. Here there are required tasks and all tasks. The required task and receivable activities, approval limits, resources, resource rule, receivable system options, and I already made before one video for how to manage receivable system options. If you click or choose all tasks, you can find the other thing, like if you search here by memo line, you can find manage standard memo lines, also for transaction type. You can also find how to manage transactions type. Let me duplicate all these. Go to Receivables. Go to Billing. From here you can create transaction, credit, manage transactions, and manage customers. If you go to Billing, go to Tasks. Here you can create a customer and manage customers. I will create a new customer. It's the same in e-business version. There is no any differences. Here starts by what's the customer type. Is it organization or person? What is the name of this customer? I will make customer 1. What is the DUNS number? Taxpayer identification number. Account description, customer 1. Account number is automatic, depends on the setup of the system receivable options, either manually or automatic, one by one. Of the account type, is it external or internal? I will choose external. Account established date, termination date. If you need to inactivate these customers, you will put termination date. Customer class, is it federal or public sector? Account address set, if you already define address set, you can choose it, like common set or depends on the business unit set and so on. This account address active from date to date. What is the site name of the customer? Customer 1. Mail stop, the country of these customers, again Egypt, Cairo, the city, Alexandria. Account address details, you can also select customer category code if you enabled and defined it. The address purposes, you have to add the bill to and ship to address purpose. First one you can select bill to, again add another one for ship to. This you have to assign the bill to site, our bill to site. So this is overview of how to create customers, and depend on this address set it will assign to our business unit. Once you save and close, take some seconds to save and close the data. Now our customer is defined successfully with the account number 617. You can search by it, customer 1. Done. Go to home page again, manage customers, customer 1, search. This is the account number and this is the site. If you go to the site to check the business unit, you will find reference account here is null. You can add it. You can select the business unit and ledger. This is our business unit. You can also select the revenue and receivables accounts, tax, freight, all of these, or the system will take these accounts from the transaction type, override the customer definition. I will click OK. Now I assigned the site of these customers to our business unit. If there are a lot of sites, you can assign each one to a different business unit. This is up to the business requirement. This tax profile, you can continue the setup for the tax profile, payment details, communication, profile history, and all of these things. You can save. This is Alexandria. Now it's saved, and now this is the overview how to define the customer, assign the site to the business unit. You can also assign the reference accounts, add the customer level. Save and close. Done. Now I'm going to define, for example, the transaction type. You can also go to financials, receivables, search by tasks for transaction type, select manage transaction types, again manage transaction types. You can search. I will go to search. The same in Oracle e-business. For example, if I select debit memo, there is transaction type set as a common set or a specific set, for example, a specific business unit or for all. What is the legal entity? You can assign it to specific legal entity. The name, descriptions. What is the status of this? Is it open, closed, pending, void? It will be open. From date to date. What is the creation sign? Is it positive or negative? Generate bill. Is it possible to generate bill for this invoice or not? The credit memo type for this transaction type, it will be credit memo. Payment term, application rule set for the applications and apply and unapply. Is it open receivables? Is it post to GL or not? Allow freight or not? Natural application only. There is no over applications for the amount. What is the business unit? This transaction type assigned to which business unit? What is the revenue account, receivable account, tax, freight, unearned, unbilled, auto invoice clearing? Well, all of these things like e-business version is the same. Can cancel. Let's see the invoice as a regular invoice. The same, what is the name, transaction type set, creation sign, from date to date, credit memo type, payment term, allow receivables, allow freight, post to GL. Here selected allow over application, and this depends on the organization's business scenarios, default tax classification code, what is the revenue, the other account will come from auto accounting account. Cancel. This is how to, if you're going to create a new one, the same. The system will ask you which transaction type set. Is it common or for a specific set? It depends on the business unit. You can select what is the name, for example, test, description, transaction class. Is it invoice, regular or debit or credit memo, chargeback or bill receivables? I will select invoice. Transaction status, it will be open. From date, you can select previous date or any old date to date. What is the sign? Is it any sign? It's allowed for negative and positive or negative or positive. Generate bill, yes or no, and credit memo type. Application rule set. If you have any application rule set for line and tax prorate or line first tax after or prorate all. Payment term, open receivable, and here you can assign the business unit to this transaction type. This is also an overview of how to create transaction type. Now done. Go to memo lines. For the lines of the distribution of the AR transactions, you can assign the memo lines if it's standard or direct invoices without sales order or without order to cash cycle. Again, manage standard memo line. You can search also, or you can create. I will select one of existing. The theme, what is the memo line name, what is the command set, descriptions, what's the unit of measure from date to date, what is the reference account as a business unit, and here the revenue account of this memo line. Cancel. Let me try to create a new one. I will select the comment set, this memo line 1. The type, it will be line, not tax, no freight, no charge. Tax classification, if you define or complete the setup of the tax, you can select tax classification. Unit of measure, I will select piece. What's the rule? If you find invoicing rule to recognize the revenue from date to date, and here you can assign the business unit, which business unit, and assign the revenue. This is how to create a memo line. Cancel. Press done. Let's see the auto accounting. Auto accounting rule for Oracle Receivables. It's set up by business unit. I will select my business unit to check all of the account type and what is the source will be for this account. For example, the revenue. For the revenue, the company segment will come from transaction type, business line segment also from transaction type. All of our segments values will come from the transaction type. For example, regarding the bills receivables, the same. This is our chart of account segments, and this is the value source of these segments for this account type. For the unearned, all of them like the same transaction types. So this is also how to manage auto accounting rule to generate the accounts for the transactions for our main account type for revenue, receivables, tax, if you implemented the tax, for the bill, receivables, and the deferred tax, freight, if there is any freight on the invoice, unbilled, unearned, for the invoicing rule. You can come here and select the proper business unit, and you can add or delete. To delete and again create the same for adjustment also. You can delete and create it one more time with the specific or correct value source. Cancel. So let's come back to our agenda. This is an overview of how to create memo line, transaction type, receivable transactions. I can add here also auto accounting rule. Here also receivables. I can color it by green. Application implementation consultant. This is still not to create the transaction. Let's now go to the entry user to know how to create the transaction, how to update, how to adjust, how to manage inquiries, how to create a different type of the transaction type. Again, go to applications, home, to billing for AR transactions, billing for transactions, accounts receivables for receipts. So go to billing, go to tasks here. Here you can create transaction, credit transactions, you can manage existing transactions, manage auto invoice lines, approve adjustments if you set up the approval for the adjustments with a limit. You can create customer, manage existing customers, upload customers from spreadsheet, manage data import, review customer account details, create accounting, create adjustment journal. You can create a journal as adjustment from account receivable instead of from GL, and review journal entries for a specific period to check what is the journal entries entered during this period. Now I'm going to create a transactions. The same in Oracle e-business. What is the class? Is it debit memo, credit memo, invoice? What's business unit? I will select my business unit. Because depends on this business unit, all of the customers which is assigned to this business unit will come in our list of value for bill to name. What's the transaction source? Is this export, import, manual? I will select manual. What's the transaction type? Is it invoice, credit memo, debit memo? I will select invoice. Transaction number here, we defined the sequence, so it will be generated automatically, not manually. Transaction date, counting date, it must be the same if the counting date at the GL date is open or not. Invoicing rule, is it in advance or in arrear, or this is normal invoice? It will be normal. What is your attachment? You can attach, for example, the actual invoice which you received from the customers or any documents related to the customers. What's the currency? Here, bill to name, what is your customers? You can search by any of existing customers. Let's see. Let me search customer 1 to check is it coming or not. This is our customer which we already created before. Selected. This bill to site, ship to name, you can select ship to name, specific name or not. This is the payment term of the invoice. There is no ship to name. This is a payment term, and this is the header of the invoice. Now the lines, you can select items if it's, but the items for the invoices came from order to cash cycle as a sales order. You can enter description or select memo line. I will select memo line. The description and the unit of measure will be shown automatic. What's the quantity of these lines? I will put 12. The unit price here, the last unit price of this memo line is 900. You can change it. You can go to right. What is the tax classification? Are you going to apply the tax or not? You can enter 2 or 3 or 100 memo lines, depends on the actual invoice. Again, I will put 1010. So this is the header. This is the line, invoice lines and the tax determining for our lines, and this is the tax classification also. How to enter the invoice? You can click save. Here the transaction total is 10,900. There is no tax, no freight, no charges, because we only entered lines without tax, without freight, without anything. Once I saved the invoice, take the next number of the transaction number. Here status is incomplete. You can complete. You can also here edit distributions. You can save and close. You can complete and create another, or you can complete and review. You can complete and close. I will try to complete and review. Here, the invoice is associated with at least one unvalid closed transaction distribution. Let me check what is this distribution. Edit distribution. Here the receivable account is not entered. I can find it. I can select any account, save and close. Let me try to complete and review. Now it's completed. You can click show more to check everything for the invoice. You can again try to incomplete to make any adjustment for the invoice, or you can go to actions and count in draft, view accounting, or post to general ledger. Count in draft as accounting in draft, post to ledger as a final, create accounting to direct post to general ledger balances. After that you can view the accounting. Let me try to create account in draft. Account has been completed. You can view the accounting. Here invoice created, receivables and revenue. If the tax is calculated, it will be also came in the credit side. Close. Until now you can incomplete again, but once you post to ledger you cannot incomplete the transactions. How to incomplete? You press incomplete, it will be incomplete status. You can come down, you can add, delete, edit for it, change the customers also, change the transaction type, date, currency, calculate tax. All of these things you can do it if the status of the invoice or transaction is incomplete. Once it's complete and posted to ledger, you cannot create or you cannot adjust it through the invoice itself. You can go to the other scenarios like make a credit memo or make adjustments for the same invoice. Let me try to post to ledger. Once you make post to ledger, you will find that incomplete button is hidden and you cannot incomplete it again. The same accounting will be there. Here, what is the options here? Only credit transaction, manage adjustments, duplicate, review, view, and review. But you cannot incomplete it. This is how to create the transactions. Let me cancel. Yes. I will create a new transaction as a credit memo. It will be the same, but instead of positive sign, it will be in negative sign. Again, this is the class will be credit memo. Select our business unit. Transaction, it will be manual. Transaction type credit memo. Bill to the same, customer 1. What is the customer reference, transaction date, currency, the same things. Here the memo line, I will select any of existing memo line. I will try to enter quantity in a positive. Try to save. It is saved, so the credit memo there is not defined as a negative amount. So let me try to finish, try to complete, to check. Here the same, invoice distribution, I did distributions to the receivable, any account, okay, save and close, try to complete. Here, application violates the creation sign of the transactions. It must be within associated with the transaction, so the creation sign of this transaction type, it must be in negative, but I put it down as a positive, so I can change the quantity to negative here, 10 minus. This is the format, not minus 10. For example, 10 minus. Again, try to complete and review. It will be completed. So this is how to create a credit memo. What's the difference between credit memo and debit memo? Credit memo to reduce the customer balance. As you see here, the negative. If the total balance, for example, for the customer is 1 million and you need to reduce it for return it, for cancellation, the contract, any of these reasons, you can create a credit memo with negative. But in case of you create already transactions, but you forget to add the charges like freight, tax, any of these things, you can create another transaction type, but in this case, the transaction type will be a debit memo. Debit memo will be the same creation type as a positive, as a regular invoice, but it just for adjustments to added some values like charges to the customers. So this is the difference between credit memo and debit memo in Oracle Receivables, not like account payables, because in account cloud payables, either cloud or e-business, the both is in negative sign to reduce the supplier balance, but one of them to, this is the customers ask the supplier to return the products, but the other one, the supplier asks the organization to take his products or items again. So this is the difference between debit memo, credit memo in Oracle Receivables and debit memo, credit memo in accounts payables. Let's come back to our agenda. Now how to create is done. Credit memo also is done. Now let's manage inquiries also to check our invoice. Again, this is generated automatic for the transaction type. If you go to home, let me post it to ledger. This okay. Now it's posted to ledger. Cancel. Yes. How to manage inquiries? You can search direct by transaction type. You can search. You can also put transaction date and customer to bill. This is our transactions. You can come and check and inquiries about the lines, freight, tax, customer name, date, attachments, all of these things. You can also come here and check the balance details, the original amount, no tax, no freight, no charges, no receipts, no adjustments, no discounts. You can come and view accounting. For any transaction types, you can do the same. What is the debit, what is the credit? You can also review distributions. You must save, okay. This is our distribution of these transactions. You can also view image if you implement the image as output for these transactions, as a print for the invoice. This is the standard format. If you zoom it, Then go to right, this transaction number, order number, quantity, price, what is the total without VAT, total with VAT, total in characters as amount, what is the preparer who like this information, location, booking number. Sometimes, and all of the times, you are going to print the invoice to the customer. So through this view image or through, you can implement a standard a custom report to catch or to fetch this invoice data, and once you complete the transaction you can run this report with parameters of the transaction number to print out the transactions and give it to the customer as actual document from the organization to the customers. So this is how to manage inquiries for any transactions. You can manage adjustments, you can review distributions, you can duplicate, you can view accounting, view balance details, view also transaction activities. Activities means what? Once you create a regular invoice as an invoice, you can make apply to receipts, apply to credit memo, make adjustments, and apply again the receipts. All of these things, it's activities of the transactions. So once you create all of these things, one of them or all of them, you can again inquiries about it on the invoice itself. So this is how to also manage inquiries. How to create receivable adjustments. Go to down, cancel, yes, done. I will search by our first invoice. This, the type of it, if you remember, is invoice, a manual. Here the total transaction total is 10,900. I need to adjust. Adjust means increase or decrease the amount here. So once you log in and search by the invoice number, you will find it's completed and post to ledger. So you cannot incomplete to adjust the transaction total. In this case, you have another option to action either credit transactions or manage adjustments. Credit transactions to create a credit memo with a negative amount to these transactions, or you can manage adjustment as I told you to increase or decrease. Let me manage adjustment. Here I can add. Let me check, is it what's the receivable activity? Adjustment. Adjustment type, is it invoice adjustment, line adjustment only, or tax? Because there is no tax, I will select line adjustment. This adjustment amount is either positive or negative. I will put 100. What is adjust date, counting date, installment number, adjustment reason, for example, charges. What is the transaction distributions? Here installment amount before this is 10,900. I will click submit. You don't have adjustment approval limit defined. The adjustment now has been created. Okay. So this created by and pending approval. Go to down. Let me manage adjustment. This pending approval created by me, pending approval. So done. Because I didn't define any approval for the adjustments, so maybe it will be stuck as a pending, or it may be after some times it will be changed to the finally approved. So this is how to make adjustments. For the adjustments, you can define approval limit and assign the approval limit to the users. Let me show you how to create this. Cancel. To setup and maintenance, here, adjustment. Again, select financials, go to receivables, search by approval limit. You can search. I select document type as adjustment to check if there any approval limit for adjustment or not. Search. There is no any manage approval limit for the adjustments. You can create. I can select username. This is my username. Okay. Let me select currency. Minimum approval 0, maximum this. Username. You cannot create or update your own. So I have to log in by another approval limit, and the other user can give me or update my approval limit. Let me cancel. Let me go to again the transactions. I will click done. Search. Here, search. Open. Go to actions, manage adjustment. Still pending approval. Go to done. Let's check if there are any notifications. There is no any notifications. No problem. I will make another user and show you how to make the adjustments. Let's go to. So this is how to create receivable adjustments, how to update installments and update invoice. We already take it the update receivable invoice. You can come back. You can search by our invoice. This is invoice. Here you can manage review installment. This is the installment. You can update it to prorate the original amount into different or 3 due dates. You can add and delete, but by the end the total amount must be equal the original amount. Let me try to open it. I will put 10,000, and again I will make a difference for next month for 900. So the total is the same. Save and close. So this is how to manage or update the installment of the transactions. Update receivable invoice. As I told you before, you can create an invoice with incomplete, and again you can come and update it. Let me create a new one. Go to tasks, create transaction. Selected is invoice, business unit, transaction source as a manual, transaction type also invoice, everything the same, customer 1, customer 1, bill to payment term. I will select our memo line, quantity. Let me go to save and go to distributions. Action, edit distributions. Yes. Enter the receivable account. Here you can enter. Okay, save and close, complete and close. Now this number I will ticket copy. I will complete without post to ledger. Complete and close. Transaction has been completed. Now I'm going to update. You have to search first by the transaction number. Search. You can come here. To update, you have to incomplete first. You can update here to add another line. Select memo line, quantity, price. Try to save. You will find the transaction total is changed. And again, complete and review. You can update anything, customer, dates, memo lines, tax, freight, all of these things you can update it. And again, you can post to ledger or create accounting. Now how to apply the credit transactions to the invoice transactions. I will post to ledger. It was counting has been completed. Okay, you can come here and click credit transactions. Here you can create a credit memo for these transactions with specific percentage, or the other way you can go to the credit memo and apply it to the transactions. From here you can credit transactions. What is the transaction type, dates, credit reason, you can select it here, for example duplicate billing, comments, shipments, date, all of these things as optional information you can provide or not. Here you can enter either percent or amount. In case of I need to credit 50% of these transactions, let me enter 50. Here the amount will be 27,435. No tax because the original invoice without any tax. So I entered this amount, this percentage. So you have two options, either only credit percent as a 10%, 20 like this, or direct enter the amount. Here automatically derive tax from lines. If the tax is calculated for the original, the system will also deduct the same percent from the tax amount. Finish. You can also save. It's already saved. Complete and review. So this is the new credit memo 63002 generated automatically. Depends on our original invoice. Original transaction number is 64000. Again, you can post to ledger or account and draft or any of these actions. Completed. Let me again go to our original invoice to check or to view the balance of it. Go to search. This is our transaction line. Click on the transaction number. Here you can come and view balance details. Once you click the view details, the system will tell you the original amount, 54,800. You make a credit refund with this amount. And this is our last credit, which we already did it for these transactions. If you apply the receipts, it will be shown here. If we make adjustments, it also will be showing here. Bill, receivable, discounts, all of this, and the balance will be the net between all of these amounts. Done. You can click show more to check if there is no any more transactions. Let me check also the transaction activities. As I told you, here you can get the activity and the number of the transactions, either receipts or credit memo or adjustments. All of these details here. Our last credit memo, which we already created before. This is the number, this is the type, this is the amount, currency, applied or not applied, who created, and the amount and the status and activity date. If additional information is there, it will be also showing here. Done. So this is how to credit transactions for existing transactions. This is how to manage adjustments and review installment and update installments, how to review distributions. You can duplicate the same invoice, how to view accounting, how to view balance details after you make adjustments or credit transactions or any of these adjustments, how to view transactions activities to check the number of the credit memo, the receipt number, the adjustment number for the AR transactions. Let me try to action duplicate. The system will duplicate the same information within a different transaction number. Once you save it, it will take the next number of the transactions. This is duplicate to easily and faster the entry transactions. If you are going to create the same transactions with the same details with some differences like payment term or unit price or quantity, all of this you can come and search by the invoice, and from the actions you can create duplicate. Cancel, yes. So this is also the duplicates for our one of the actions in the actions list of values. So now we take update invoice. We also make how to manage customers. For recurring and billing and review customer account details, I made before 2 videos. I will make the link in this video to check the other videos related to this process for recurring and review customers and the billing either in advance or in arrear, because there are some setups required before make recurring bill plans for the AR receivable transactions. Appreciate your comments, questions. Thanks for watching, and also I hope to subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching.